In this video, we shall discuss about the arterial blood pressure. The indirect measurement of blood pressure or the non-invasive measurement of blood pressure is done by using the blood pressure cuff. Now, if you see the way the cuff is designed, it has an inflatable bladder which is supposed to go over the blood vessels, mainly the arteries, and then a very snug fit is to be made by the cuff over the arm. Remember that many times they use different sizes of cuffs and it should be appropriate to the size of the limb. A rule of thumb is that the cuff width should be at least half the circumference of the limb. Now, when you start understanding the variations of blood pressure, you will realize that you measure the blood pressure in the right or the left arm, and the higher of the two pressures is used for hypertension. Remember also that you are using blood pressure measurements in the lower limb. And if you get a variation, which of these is more reliable for hypotension? So this is just a food for thought before we move on to the next slide. It is a very incorrect assumption that the normal blood pressure reflects good cardiac output and that reflects adequate tissue perfusion. The non-invasive blood pressure can be measured either manually or automatically. Most of these methods rely upon the BP cuff, and the various methods that are used are either the palpatory method or the auscultatory method. Methods are also employed using a Doppler stethoscope because it has been shown that both the auscultatory and the palpatory method they give inaccurate results and they both don't match with the invasive BP measurement. Another method to look at the oscillations of the mercury meniscus are equally inaccurate, and using the pulse oximeter as an indicator of the return of pulse is equally inaccurate. Another non-invasive but one which yields good results is photoplethysmography. Now, using the infrared light to measure the saturation of hemoglobin, the blood volume of the finger is measured on a beat to beat basis, and this is measured using a constant pressure on the finger. The results obtained are close to the invasive monitoring, but the disadvantage of this method is that it is less accurate in hypotension and hypothermia. One should remember that there is a triphasic flow in the arteries, and this occurs because of the contractions of the tunica media. One should also realize that the triphasic flow causes an initial relaxation, a return back to normal, and a further contraction during the systolic and the diastolic phase of the cardiac cycle. Now, because of this, there is a difference between a pressure wave and the flow wave. A pressure wave travels very fast, almost at the rate of 10 meters per second, and it travels 20 times faster than the flow wave, which travels almost about 50 centimeters per second. As the vascular impedance or as the systemic vascular resistance increases, the velocity of the pressure wave increases, but the velocity of the flow wave reduces. This is simple to understand because as you keep increasing the resistance, the pressure can be easily transmitted through that, but it's difficult to transmit the flow. But with reducing systemic resistance, the pressure is diminished, but the flow is enhanced. So this is all based on Laplace's law. Therefore, you can understand that the arterial blood pressure is not a very reliable index of the blood flow. As the pressure wave moves towards the periphery, the systolic pressure gradually increases because of the reduction in diameter. So the difference of the pressure from the aorta to the radial artery is almost about 20 millimeters of mercury. But the most important thing and the take-home message here is that in all circumstances, the mean arterial pressure or the MAP remains the same, and therefore it more accurately reflects or measures the central aortic pressure. Also keep in mind that there is going to be a systolic amplification in non-compliant arteries. Therefore, if you measure the ankle brachial pressure index in one who is having atherosclerosis, it is fallaciously high only because of the atherosclerosis causing a non-compliant artery. Blood pressure can be monitored invasively by placing a sensor inside the arterial line. I don't want to go into the transducer, the oscillation, the oscilloscope, the compliance, etc., because honestly it doesn't make any sense. One just needs to know that the sensor is placed in the arterial line and the system could either be over-damped or under-damped. The meaning of dampening is to reduce. So if the system is over-damped, what would happen now is that it is a very stiff system. Therefore, it will lower the systolic pressure and it will raise the diastolic pressure. Whereas if the system is under-damped, it becomes very lax. Therefore, it shows a higher systolic and a lower diastolic pressure. There are various sites in which one could place the arterial line. It could be the radial artery, the femoral artery, or the axillary artery. The pressures are very different in the central and peripheral arteries. But one should remember the golden rule that whatever the pressure and wherever the pressure is being measured, the mean arterial pressure is constant, and that is the take-home message. There are complications of having an invasive BP monitoring because the catheter itself lies within the vessel lumen. Therefore, it is possible that there could be distal ischemia. At times, if there is the catheter left for a long time, there could be some degree of thrombosis also. One should remember that to prevent these complications, one should use a very small gauge of catheter and keep it for as little time as possible. One should also remember to do an Allen test, especially while doing it for the radius or the ulnar artery. Check the collateral circulation by doing the Allen test in advance. To summarize, the take-home message is, if you are measuring the blood pressure indirectly, make sure that the width of the cuff is at least half the circumference of the limb. And if you are measuring the pressure invasively, always rely upon the mean arterial pressure. The NIBP is not as reliable as the IBP, but that is the one which is most frequently used. Thanks for watching the video until the end. Like, comment, subscribe, email me.